All week before my 40th birthday, my husband teased, "Your gift will blow your mind." That morning, I woke up to silence. The house was empty, no kids, no note. By noon, Instagram showed them at a Dubai luxury resort. My daughter's caption, "Daddy's treating us since mom's boring anyway." I didn't react. 2 hours later, my WhatsApp blew up, desperate messages begging me. I stared at my phone in disbelief. 127 missed calls from Caleb. Not a single one had disturbed the silence of my empty house. I'd switched to Do Not Disturb mode the moment I saw Emma's Instagram post. My thumb hovered over the WhatsApp notification showing dozens of unread messages, all from him. The most recent one caught my eye. "Please, Michaela. Answer the phone. I'm begging you." I smiled. The begging had started exactly 37 minutes after I'd forwarded the security footage to Richard. 37 minutes. That's how long it took for Caleb's perfect world to crumble, for his corporate email access to be revoked, for his career to implode. My 40th birthday gift to myself. Justice. But let me back up. Let me tell you how this all began just 7 hours earlier. For a week, Caleb had been teasing me about my birthday. "Your gift will blow your mind," he'd whisper, kissing my cheek each morning before leaving for work. Last night, he'd been especially affectionate, bringing home my favorite takeout, opening a bottle of wine, and telling the kids to let me sleep in for my big day. I'd lain awake long after he started snoring, thinking about our 17 years of marriage. College sweethearts who'd built a life together. His rise through the corporate ranks at Sullivan and Pierce Investment Group, my decision to pause my legal career when Emma was born, the beautiful Atlanta suburb home we'd saved for, family vacations at the beach every summer. I touched the delicate necklace he'd given me for our anniversary last month, wondering if my milestone birthday gift would be similarly thoughtful. The house was eerily quiet when I finally woke up. No sounds of Jake playing video games too loudly. No Emma's music thumping through the walls. No smell of Caleb's coffee or the special birthday breakfast he'd promised. "Caleb." I called out, my voice bouncing off the walls of our master bedroom. His side of the bed was cold, he'd been gone for hours. I slipped on my robe and padded down the hallway. "Emma?" "Jake." I pushed open their bedroom doors to find perfectly made beds, unusual for my teenagers, and conspicuously empty closets. My heart rate quickened as I hurried downstairs, calling their names with increasing urgency. The kitchen was immaculate, untouched. I opened the refrigerator and found the ingredients Caleb had purchased yesterday: fresh strawberries, cream cheese, the special brioche bread I loved, still in their packaging. My birthday breakfast never made. That's when I noticed 3 toothbrushes missing from the family bathroom. Luggage gone from the hall closet. My children's favorite shoes absent from the entryway rack. I sank onto a kitchen stool, surrounded by family photos that suddenly seemed to mock me. The 6 of us at Disney World last year. Caleb's parents had joined us. Emma winning her debate championship. Jake with his science fair project. Family portraits where we all smiled like we meant it. My phone chimed from upstairs and I raced to retrieve it, hoping for an explanation. There were birthday wishes from college friends, my parents, coworkers from my old firm. Nothing from my husband. Nothing from my children. I texted Caleb, "Where are you guys?" The message showed as delivered. No response. I tried Emma. "Honey, where did everyone go?" "Mom." Blue dots appeared, she'd seen it, then disappeared. No reply. Jake would answer me. Sweet Jake, who still hugged me in front of his friends. "Jake, please tell me what's happening." Read. No response. My hands shook as I opened Instagram. Emma lived on the platform. My breath caught as her latest post loaded. There they were. Caleb, Emma, and Jake, beaming beside an infinity pool that overlooked a spectacular cityscape. Palm trees. Impossible luxury. The Burj Al Arab visible in the background. The caption crushed what remained of my composure. "Surprise vacation with the best dad ever. Hashtag Dubai, hashtag luxury life, hashtag spontaneous adventure. Daddy's treating us since mom's boring anyway." I stared at the post, reading and rereading the caption, trying to make sense of it. Daddy's treating us since mom's boring anyway. My daughter's words. My husband's smile. My family celebrating halfway around the world without me. On my 40th birthday. I scrolled through more photos. Them boarding a first-class flight. Checking into a resort suite with views that probably cost more than our monthly mortgage. Caleb raising a champagne glass while the kids held up virgin cocktails. All posted within the last 12 hours. My legs gave out and I slid down the wall to the floor, still clutching my phone. They planned this. They deliberately excluded me. For the next hour, I moved through our house like a ghost, touching familiar objects as if to confirm they were real. The anniversary photo on the mantel. The throw blanket we curled under for movie nights. Jake's soccer trophy. Emma's art projects that I'd framed with such pride. My sister called. Then my mother. I let their birthday wishes go to voicemail. At 11 a.m. I poured myself a glass of wine and sat at our dining room table. I pulled out the family calendar where we tracked everyone's activities. Flipping back through the pages, I noticed Caleb had blocked off this entire week as busy with no details. He'd never mentioned a trip. Never asked if I wanted to go to Dubai. Never suggested that he and the kids would be absent on my birthday. I tried to remember if I'd done something to deserve this. Had I been boring? Had I been so consumed with household management and supporting everyone else's dreams that I'd become invisible? Was turning 40 so disgusting to him that he needed to escape? Around noon, I wandered into Caleb's home office, looking for any explanation. The drawers of his desk were locked, but I knew where he kept the key, taped under his desk drawer, thinking I'd never look there. Inside the bottom drawer, I found what he didn't want me to see. Credit card statements he'd hidden from our shared financial management app. Charges for jewelry I'd never received. Expensive restaurant bills on Thursdays when he claimed to be working late. Hotel charges in our own city. And flight confirmations for 3 tickets to Dubai, purchased over a month ago. Among these papers was an expense report with a name that appeared repeatedly, Vanessa Jenkins. His executive assistant. The beautiful, eager 26-year-old who always laughed too hard at his jokes during company parties. Who always seemed to need his guidance after normal business hours. As I continued searching, my hand struck something hard in the back of his drawer. A phone I'd never seen before. Not his regular iPhone but a cheap burner phone. My fingers trembled as I turned it on. No password protection, he'd been careless. Perhaps he'd meant to take it with him but forgot in his excitement to abandon me. The text messages loaded and my world shifted permanently. Can't wait for Thursday night. Same time, same place. Wear that red thing. Caleb to Vanessa 2 weeks ago. Dubai will be amazing. He has no idea. Told the kids it's a special trip just for them. Caleb to Vanessa 1 week ago. Flight boarding. Freedom for a whole week. Kids think it's just a fun trip. Emma's already posting about it. Caleb to Vanessa yesterday. I set the phone down, surprising myself with my calm. The pieces were falling into place. The Thursday night client meetings. The sudden interest in working late. The decreasing intimacy at home. The way he'd begun criticizing my appearance, my hobbies, my conversation. I wasn't boring. I was being erased to make room for someone else. As I gathered the evidence spread across his desk, the statements, the phone, the expense reports, a strange clarity washed over me. I thought about the security cameras at Caleb's office building. The system I knew recorded everything because I'd helped select the vendor during their renovation 3 years ago. Caleb had always been careless, confident in his ability to talk his way out of trouble. He'd never suspect I would look for evidence. Never imagine I would fight back. I picked up my phone and scrolled to a contact I hadn't used in years. Marcus Johnson, head of security at Sullivan & Pierce. The man who owed me a favor after I'd helped his daughter get an internship at my old law firm. It was time to discover exactly what happened every Thursday night in Caleb's corner office. My fingers hovered over Marcus Johnson's contact information. Was I really considering this? In 17 years of marriage, I'd never spied on Caleb, never questioned his whereabouts, never doubted his fidelity. Trust had been our foundation, or so I thought. I glanced at the burner phone beside me, its screen displaying intimate exchanges between my husband and his secretary. The evidence was already damning, but something inside me needed to see the full extent of his betrayal with my own eyes. 3 years ago, Sullivan & Pierce had undergone a major security upgrade after a competitor attempted corporate espionage. As Caleb's wife with a legal background, I'd been asked to consult on vendor selection. I remembered walking through the office with Marcus, discussing camera placement, data storage and access protocols. He'd been particularly proud of the system's 2-year storage capacity. Better than the industry standard, he'd boasted. I'd never imagined that feature would someday serve as my lifeline. I rummaged through my desk drawer where I kept business cards, finding Marcus's buried beneath newer contacts. Taking a deep breath, I pressed the call button before I could reconsider. Marcus Johnson, he answered on the 3rd ring. Marcus, it's Michaela Harrington. Michaela. Long time no hear. How are you doing? Happy birthday if I'm not mistaken. His casual mention of my birthday tightened the knot in my stomach. Thank you for remembering. Listen, I need a favor and it's somewhat unusual. I heard hesitation in his silence. I'm listening. I'm putting together a surprise anniversary video for Caleb. I lied, my voice steadier than expected. I wanted to include some clips of him at work. You know, the dedication that's made him successful. Would it be possible to access some security footage from his office? Another pause. That's not exactly standard procedure, Michaela. I understand. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. I infused warmth into my voice. Remember when I helped Amber get that internship at Collier and Walsh? She's thriving there now, isn't she? She is, Marcus admitted. Made junior associate last month. I'm so glad. We all need a little help sometimes, don't we? I let the implication hang between us. He sighed. Which dates were you thinking? Thursday evenings, actually. For the past month. I kept my tone conversational. Those late nights really show his commitment. Thursday evenings, he repeated, his tone shifting slightly. Did he know something? I can probably help with that. The system allows for secure temporary links that expire after 24 hours. Would that work? Perfect, I replied, relief washing through me. And Marcus? I'd appreciate your discretion. I want this to be a complete surprise. After finalizing details, I hung up and returned to the family calendar. The pattern was unmistakable now that I was looking for it. Every Thursday night for the past 6 months. Client dinner, late meeting, strategy session. Always vague, always on Thursdays. My mind drifted to Vanessa's hiring process 8 months ago. Caleb had insisted on personally handling the interviews for his new executive assistant. The HR director had preferred an older candidate with more experience, but Caleb had overruled her, citing Vanessa's fresh perspective and eagerness to learn. I remembered meeting her at the holiday party. Tall, blonde, laughing too enthusiastically at Caleb's jokes while eyeing his wedding ring. I thought about how Caleb's Thursday routines had changed subtly. The expensive cologne he normally saved for client meetings. The dress shirts that suddenly needed to be perfectly pressed. The later returns home, always with the faint scent of alcohol and excuses about networking. And his comments about me had shifted too. Small criticisms about my comfortable clothes. Suggestions that I should color my graying hair. Questions about when I might get back in shape. Each remark delivered with a smile but landing like tiny daggers. All while Vanessa received jewelry I never saw and dinners I never enjoyed. My laptop chimed with an email notification from Marcus. A secure link and temporary password had arrived sooner than expected. I poured another glass of wine and closed the blinds in my home office, creating a cocoon of privacy before clicking the link. The security system interface was intuitive, with a calendar and floor plan allowing me to select specific dates, times, and cameras. I chose last Thursday, 7 p.m. and the camera outside Caleb's office. The footage appeared instantly. I watched as most employees filed out for the evening. The timestamp showed 7:43 p.m. when Vanessa returned from the break room carrying 2 glasses of wine. She entered Caleb's office without knocking. I switched to the interior camera. My husband greeted his secretary with a familiarity that made my stomach turn. Their conversation started professionally enough. Budget reports, client meetings. But their body language told a different story. They sat too close on his office couch, their shoulders touching, hands brushing when passing documents. At 8:16 p.m. he kissed her. Not a tentative first kiss but a practiced, passionate embrace that spoke of established intimacy. I felt oddly detached as I watched them on his office couch. The same man who had claimed headaches and exhaustion when I initiated intimacy at home. Their encounter was both hurried and familiar, suggesting a well-established routine. Afterward, as they straightened their clothing, their conversation turned to Dubai. She has no idea? Vanessa asked, examining herself in a compact mirror. Caleb laughed. None. Thinks I'm planning some special birthday surprise at home. Well, you are surprising her. Vanessa's smile was cold. Just not the way she expects. The kids are excited. Emma's totally on board. She thinks her mom's boring anyway. Typical teenage stuff but useful. And you're sure she won't cause problems while you're gone? No surprise investigations. My husband's dismissive snort pierced my heart. Michaela, please. She's too busy with her book club and grocery shopping to notice anything. She stopped being interesting years ago. I watched in stunned silence as Vanessa opened a small jewelry box. The purchase I'd seen on his credit card statement, revealing a diamond bracelet that matched the necklace Caleb had given me for our anniversary. It's beautiful, she breathed, trying it on. Only the best for you, he promised, kissing her again. And when I get back from Dubai, we'll discuss your promotion. I forced myself to watch 3 more Thursdays, documenting times, dates, and conversations. Each recording revealed more betrayals. Discussions about my predictability, plans made using our family funds, jokes at my expense. By the time I finished reviewing the footage, my phone had accumulated 12 new notifications. Caleb had sent photos of their Dubai breakfast, the hotel suite, the children enjoying the pool. Emma had finally texted a half-hearted, "Happy birthday, Mom," 6 hours into my supposed special day. I ignored them all. Instead, I created a new folder on my laptop labeled Evidence. I downloaded key segments of the security footage, carefully documented the credit card statements, photographed the text messages from the burner phone, and compiled a timeline of Caleb's deceptions. For hours I worked methodically, my legal training resurfacing as I built an airtight case against my husband. The pain had transformed into something colder, more focused. I remembered Caleb once mentioning Sullivan and Pierce's strict morality clause for executives, designed to protect the firm's reputation with wealthy, conservative clients. A clause that specifically prohibited romantic relationships with subordinates. A clause that required immediate termination if violated. I knew exactly where to aim. Not at his heart, he clearly didn't have one, but at what he truly valued. His position, his power, his reputation. By sunset on my 40th birthday, abandoned by my family but armed with irrefutable evidence, I had formulated my response. I would not cry. I would not beg. I would not create a scene. I would simply show Richard Barnes, the managing partner at Sullivan and Pierce, exactly what kind of man he had made partner. And then I would wait for my phone to ring. I slept surprisingly well that night. The house's emptiness, once devastating, now felt like a sanctuary where I could execute my plan without interruption. I woke before my alarm at 5:30 a.m., oddly energized despite everything. The morning sun filtered through my office blinds as I reviewed Sullivan and Pierce's employee handbook. The one Caleb had carelessly left in his desk drawer years ago. Page 42, Section 8.3, Executive Conduct and Morality Clause. I'd highlighted the relevant passages. Executives shall not engage in romantic or sexual relationships with direct subordinates. Violation constitutes grounds for immediate termination. Misuse of company resources for personal affairs represents serious misconduct. I'd practiced corporate law long enough to recognize airtight language when I saw it. Richard Barnes had built Sullivan and Pierce's reputation on integrity and conservative values. The firm managed billions for clients who expected impeccable behavior from those handling their wealth. Opening my laptop, I drafted an email with a precision I once reserved for legal briefs. No emotional language. No accusations of personal betrayal. Just facts, evidence, and direct references to company policy. To richard.barnes@sullivanpierce.com, Board of Directors at sullivanpierce.com. Subject: Urgent ethics violation, executive suite misconduct. Mr. Barnes and board members, it is with profound regret that I must bring to your attention serious violations of company policy by partner Caleb Harrington. The attached evidence documents. 1. An ongoing inappropriate relationship with executive assistant Vanessa Jenkins. 2. Misuse of company premises for personal activities during business hours. 3. Improper allocation of company funds for personal gifts and expenses. All violations directly contravene Section 8.3 of the Executive Conduct Policy. I've included timestamped security footage, expense reports, and documentation of company resources used to facilitate these activities. As someone who has always respected Sullivan and Pierce's commitment to ethical conduct, I felt obligated to bring these matters to your attention. Respectfully, Michaela Harrington, J.D. I attached the most damning footage, carefully edited to include only the workplace misconduct and explicit discussions of misusing company funds. I added expense reports Caleb had left in his desk, highlighting charges for jewelry, dinners, and hotel rooms billed as client entertainment. My finger hovered over the send button, but I waited. Timing was crucial. The weekly executive meeting began at 9:15 a.m. every Tuesday. A meeting where all partners and board members gathered to discuss sensitive issues away from staff. Caleb had complained about these meetings for years, calling them old school, because Richard insisted everyone silence their phones and give full attention to the matters at hand. I installed an email tracking extension that would notify me when the message was opened. Then I made a pot of coffee and watched the clock. At precisely 9:15 a.m., as the meeting would be called to order, I clicked send. The notification appeared instantly. Email delivered successfully. By 9:23 a.m., the first read receipt arrived. Then another. Then 5 more in rapid succession. At 9:27 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "What did you do? Security just got called to the executive floor." I didn't respond. Instead, I watched my tracking software show multiple opens, forwards, and downloads of the attachments. At 9:52 a.m., exactly 37 minutes after sending my email, an automated notification appeared in my inbox. This is an automated message from Sullivan and Pierce IT department. User: caleb.harrington@sullivanpierce.com. Status: access terminated. Effective: immediate. Authorization: executive level. My phone vibrated with an app notification from our home security system. I'd installed it years ago so we could monitor the house while traveling. The app also synchronized with Caleb's office security badge, allowing me to track his comings and goings, a feature he'd forgotten about. The notification read, "Office access, executive floor, security override." They were escorting him out. At 10:06 a.m., a brief email arrived from Richard Barnes himself. "Mrs. Harrington, thank you for bringing these matters to our attention. Sullivan and Pierce takes ethics violations with the utmost seriousness. Appropriate action has been taken effective immediately. Should you require any further assistance, please contact my office directly. Richard Barnes, Managing Partner, Sullivan and Pierce Investment Group." I refreshed the company website, navigating to the Our Team page. Caleb's profile, once prominently featured as Rising Star Partner, had vanished, leaving an asymmetrical gap in the leadership grid. At 10:29 a.m., my phone lit up with Caleb's face. The first call. I declined it. He called again. And again. Text messages began flooding in. "What did you do? My access is revoked. Security just escorted me out. Answer your phone right now. This isn't funny, Michaela. Are you trying to ruin us?" With each desperate message, a strange calm settled over me. I silenced the ringer but kept the phone visible on my desk, watching his panic unfold in real time. By noon he had called 63 times. At 12:17 p.m., a notification from Emma appeared. "Mom, what's happening? Dad's freaking out and says we have to leave. Is everything okay?" Jake texted seconds later. "Mom, are you all right? Dad won't tell us what's wrong but he's really mad. He's making us pack." I didn't answer them either. Not yet. The calls continued. 77, 92, 108. By 2 p.m., Caleb had called 127 times. His WhatsApp messages grew increasingly frantic. "Please, Michaela. Answer the phone. I'm begging you. Whatever you think happened, we can fix this. Think about the kids. Think about our family. I've been locked out of everything. Corporate accounts, email, building access. Richard won't even speak to me. What did you tell them?" The last message made me smile. He still didn't know exactly what I'd done. He couldn't comprehend that I'd had access to everything. The security footage, the expense accounts, the text messages with Vanessa. While his messages accumulated, I moved through our house with purpose. I gathered Caleb's personal items, his beloved college football trophies, family photos, the expensive watches he collected, and packed them methodically into cardboard boxes labeled simply Caleb's items. I contacted my friend Stephanie, who had remained a practicing attorney when I'd stepped back from my career. "I need an emergency consultation," I told her. "Marriage dissolution under circumstances of infidelity, financial misconduct, and abandonment." "Michaela, what's happened?" Her voice filled with concern. "I'll explain everything when we meet. How soon can you file paperwork to freeze joint assets? If it's emergency circumstances, by end of day. Are you safe?" The question surprised me. I'm perfectly safe. And for the first time in years, I'm seeing clearly. After arranging a meeting for the following morning, I called a locksmith who arrived within the hour. I had all exterior locks changed and reprogrammed our smart home security system with new codes. I contacted our bank and placed a temporary freeze on our joint accounts, citing potential fraudulent activity. Each action methodically dismantled the control Caleb had maintained over our shared life. By late afternoon, Emma called instead of texting. I watched my daughter's name flash on the screen but didn't answer. They had chosen their side that morning. They could wait in uncertainty a little longer. As sunset painted my empty house in golden hues, I sat in what had been our shared bedroom and felt something unexpected. Power. Not just anger or vengeance but genuine power. For 17 years, I'd shaped myself around Caleb's needs, desires, and ambitions. I'd set aside my career, managed his home, raised his children, maintained his social calendar, and believed his lies. But now, as his desperate messages continued to light up my phone, I held all the control. Each frantic call confirmed my new reality. Each pleading text reinforced the shift in our dynamic. I was no longer the boring wife to be discarded on her birthday. I was the woman who had destroyed everything he valued in a single, perfectly executed move. And I wasn't finished yet. I spent the evening monitoring their desperate journey home. Emma's Instagram story updates created a digital breadcrumb trail of their hasty retreat. A confused selfie at the resort with the caption "Vacation cut short, sad face," followed by a picture of packed suitcases tagged "Sudden change of plans." Jake, typically less active on social media, posted a rare airport selfie. His expression was solemn, his eyes reflecting a confusion that twisted my heart. Heading home early. Not sure why, his caption read, the simplicity carrying an unintentional weight. Through our family location sharing app. Something Caleb had insisted on for safety, but had forgotten to disable. I watched their digital avatars move from the resort to Dubai International Airport. Caleb's frantic calls had decreased, replaced by urgent messages about flight availability and connection issues. No direct flights. Have to connect through London. Will be delayed. Kids are asking questions I can't answer. Answer your damn phone, Michaela. I tracked their progress across continents, calculating their approximate arrival time. 22 hours of travel including connections and delays. Nearly a full day for Caleb to spiral further into panic while confined in airplane cabins with our increasingly suspicious children. I'd spent the day with Stephanie, my attorney friend, preparing for their return. You've got him dead to rights, she'd said, reviewing the evidence. The prenup has an infidelity clause he's clearly violated, plus the commingling of assets for personal indiscretions. We'll file first thing tomorrow. Now, as night fell on the day after my birthday, I positioned myself on our front porch, a folder of selected evidence on my lap. The porch light cast dramatic shadows across the immaculate landscaping Caleb had always been so proud of. Our neighborhood was quiet, most families already settled in for the evening, unaware of the confrontation about to unfold. At 9:47 p.m., headlights swept across the driveway. The Uber stopped and 3 exhausted figures emerged. Caleb spotted me first, his expression cycling rapidly between relief, anger, and fear. Emma and Jake hung back, confusion evident in their posture. What did you do? Caleb hissed, approaching the steps. Do you have any idea? I know exactly what I did, I interrupted, my voice calm. The question is whether you do. Emma stepped forward, her teenage defensiveness on full display. Mom, why didn't you answer our calls? Dad said there was an emergency. There was. I stood up, holding the folder against my chest. Just not the kind your father described. Jake remained silent, his eyes darting between us, sensing the tension that electrified the air. Kids, take your bags inside, Caleb ordered, not taking his eyes off me. The locks have been changed, I informed him. And they should stay for this. They deserve to know why their Dubai vacation was cut short. I opened the folder and handed Caleb the first printed screenshot. Him and Vanessa on his office couch, in a position that left nothing to the imagination. To his credit, he attempted to hide it immediately, but not before Emma caught a glimpse over his shoulder. Dad. Her voice cracked with uncertainty. It's not what it looks like, he stammered, the most cliched response possible. It's exactly what it looks like, I countered, my voice steady as I produced another image. Your father has been having an affair with his secretary for months. The same period he's been telling me I'm boring and unattractive. Caleb's face contorted. Don't do this in front of them. Why not? You did. I turned to our children. While I was home alone on my birthday, thinking you were all planning a surprise, you were actually part of your father's cover story. He used you both as shields for his affair. Emma's defiance faltered. That's not true. He said you were too busy and stressed for a vacation. Did I look stressed in the dozens of unanswered birthday messages I sent yesterday? I asked softly. Or did I look like someone who woke up to an empty house on a day her family should have been celebrating with her? Jake stepped forward, tears streaming down his face. I told you we should call Mom first, he said to Caleb. I didn't want to leave without telling her. You needed to control the narrative, I continued, addressing Caleb while handing the children printouts of their own social media posts. So you manipulated our children into believing I was boring and disinterested. Emma stared at her own Instagram caption. Daddy's treating us since Mom's boring anyway. Her face paled. Did you suggest that wording? I asked her gently. Her eyes, so like mine, filled with tears. Dad said it would be funny. That you'd laugh when you saw it later. Caleb stepped toward the door. This is ridiculous. We're all tired. Let us in and we can discuss this like adults. Like the adult who abandoned his wife on her birthday? Or the adult who expensed jewelry for his mistress on our family credit card? Emma gasped and Jake made a small wounded sound. Here's what's going to happen, I said, maintaining the composure I'd practiced all day. Jake and Emma can come inside. Their rooms are exactly as they left them. You, Caleb, can find somewhere else to stay. Your personal items are boxed in the garage. You can't just lock me out of my own house. The house that's in my name? The one I inherited from my grandmother and renovated with my trust fund? That house. I smiled without warmth. I think I can. Jake moved first, slipping past me through the door I unlocked with my new key. Emma hesitated, torn between the parents she'd always seen as a united front. It's okay, Em, I said softly. This isn't your fault. None of it is. Dad? she pleaded, looking back at him. Caleb's face hardened into something ugly. Your mother has clearly lost her mind. She's trying to destroy our family because she's jealous and vindictive. The accusation hung in the air for a moment before I responded. Emma, check your father's phone. Look for messages from Vanessa. Don't touch my phone, Caleb snapped, but Emma had already seen enough in his reaction. She walked past me into the house, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Left alone, Caleb's facade finally crumbled. You've destroyed everything, he whispered. My career, my reputation. You did that yourself, I corrected him. Every Thursday night for 6 months. Every lie you told our children. Every time you charged another hotel room to our family account. The following days unfolded with a strange mixture of chaos and clarity. Caleb's professional destruction was swift and comprehensive. Richard Barnes personally called to inform me that several major clients had requested transfers to different partners upon learning of Caleb's departure. The investment community is small, Richard explained. Word travels fast. Vanessa quietly accepted a settlement and resignation agreement, vanishing from Caleb's life as quickly as she'd entered it. Without his position, power, or expense account, she'd found greener pastures. Caleb's colleagues, men who had dined in our home, whose children had played with ours, avoided him publicly. His business calls went unanswered. Country club memberships were quietly revoked. The carefully constructed professional network he'd spent decades building collapsed under the weight of scandal and poor judgment. Meanwhile, Emma and Jake processed their own betrayal. Emma's initial defense of her father had dissolved once she understood how he'd manipulated her against me. He kept saying you were probably glad for the break, she confessed, her voice small. That you never really enjoyed family vacations anyway. Jake's reaction was rawer, less complicated by teenage rebellion. I didn't want to go without you, he repeated, clinging to me like he had as a much younger child. It felt wrong the whole time. Through it all, I found strength I didn't know I possessed. I comforted my children despite my own wounds, assuring them that the divorce wasn't their fault, that they didn't need to choose sides, that my love for them remained unshaken. 1 week after my birthday, Stephanie and I met Caleb and his hastily obtained lawyer at her office. She presented him with divorce papers, along with a detailed accounting of his misconduct. The prenuptial agreement Mrs. Harrington signed includes clear provisions regarding infidelity, Stephanie explained clinically. Section 3.2 specifically voids the community property provisions if either party engages in extramarital affairs. Caleb's lawyer flipped through the document with growing concern. Additionally, Stephanie continued, we've documented extensive misuse of family funds for personal indiscretions, including but not limited to jewelry, hotel rooms, and the recent Dubai trip. She slid across a spreadsheet detailing every questionable charge, each one meticulously categorized and dated. We have 3 witnesses prepared to testify regarding Mr. Harrington's character and conduct, should this proceed to court. Stephanie's tone made it clear this wasn't a path he wanted to take. However, Mrs. Harrington is prepared to offer a reasonable settlement. The terms were straightforward. I would keep the house and primary custody of the children. Caleb would retain his personal investments and certain assets acquired before our marriage. He would provide reasonable child support but no alimony. I didn't want or need his money. Most importantly, the settlement included a confidentiality agreement. In exchange for a quick uncontested divorce, I wouldn't publicly share the details of his misconduct beyond what was already known. You're being surprisingly generous, his lawyer noted with confusion. I'm being practical, I corrected him. I want this chapter of my life closed quickly so my children and I can move forward. As Caleb signed the papers, his hand trembling slightly, I realized the final truth of our marriage. Even in its destruction, he had never truly seen me. He had underestimated my intelligence, my resilience, and my capacity for calculated justice. It was the last mistake he would make at my expense. I didn't expect healing to begin with silence, but that's exactly how it started. 2 weeks after signing the divorce papers, I sat in Dr. Eleanor Mason's softly lit office, unable to speak. The words were there, 17 years of them, but they remained trapped behind a lifetime of accommodating everyone else's needs before my own. Take your time, she said, her voice gentle but firm. This space is yours. Those 4 words unlocked something profound. My space. My time. My healing. Our weekly sessions became the foundation of my recovery. Dr. Mason helped me identify patterns I'd never recognized, how I'd gradually diminished myself to elevate Caleb, how I'd internalized his subtle criticisms until I believed I was indeed boring and unworthy. You built your identity around being his wife, she observed during our 3rd session. Now you get to discover who Michaela really is. That journey began with small steps. I dug out the watercolor set I'd abandoned when Emma was born. My first attempts were clumsy, but the joy of creating something solely for myself felt revolutionary. I joined a book club, not the one Caleb had mocked for being suburban and predictable, but one focused on women's journaling and self-discovery. Most significantly, I reconnected with friends who had gradually disappeared from my life. Lunch with my law school roommate revealed a painful truth. "We stopped inviting you because Caleb always had an excuse," she admitted over salads. "He'd say you were too tired or busy with the kids. Eventually, we thought you just weren't interested." Similar conversations with other friends revealed how methodically Caleb had isolated me under the guise of protection and family priorities. Each reconnection felt like reclaiming a piece of myself that had been systematically removed. My journal became a sanctuary where I processed anger that sometimes overwhelmed me in unexpected moments. "Today I found his old running shoes in the garage and threw them in the trash," I wrote one evening. "Then I felt guilty and retrieved them. Then I felt angry for feeling guilty and threw them out again." Progress isn't linear. The children's healing progressed alongside mine. Emma, initially devastated by her unwitting role in Caleb's deception, withdrew into herself. Jake became clingy, afraid I might disappear if he didn't keep me in sight. Their mandatory visits with Caleb, now living in a downtown apartment, often ended with emotional aftershocks that reverberated through our home. I established new family traditions to replace ones tainted by betrayal. Our Friday movie nights, once curated by Caleb who controlled the selections, transformed into a democratic process where everyone got equal votes. Sunday brunches, previously rushed affairs before Caleb's golf games, became leisurely gatherings where conversation flowed freely. Family counseling provided a neutral space for Emma and Jake to express their complicated emotions. "I'm mad at Dad, but I still love him," Jake confessed during one session. "Does that make me disloyal to Mom?" "Love isn't a finite resource," our counselor explained. "Loving your father doesn't diminish your love for your mother." Emma's healing was more complex, her teenage identity intertwined with her perception of our family. "You're different now," she observed one evening as we prepared dinner together. "Another new tradition. You laugh more." "I'm remembering who I was," I told her, "and discovering who I can be." "I'm sorry about that Instagram caption," she whispered, her voice catching. "I would never have posted that if I'd known." I pulled her into an embrace. "I know, sweetheart. We were all manipulated in different ways." This new vulnerability between us, my willingness to share appropriate aspects of my own healing journey, strengthened our bond in ways I hadn't anticipated. My children began to see me as a whole person, not just their mother, and that perspective shift created space for authentic connection. 3 months after the divorce filing, Richard Barnes called with an unexpected proposition. "Sullivan and Pierce is establishing a new ethics compliance division," he explained. "Given your legal background and unique perspective on executive misconduct, we'd like to discuss a potential role." The irony wasn't lost on me. The firm that had once been the site of my deepest betrayal was now offering professional redemption. "I'm not interested in being a cautionary tale," I told him frankly. "That's exactly why you're perfect for this," Richard countered. "You understand the human cost of ethical breaches. And frankly, several of our female executives specifically requested your involvement." After careful consideration and discussions with my therapist, I accepted an interview. Walking into Sullivan and Pierce's headquarters felt surreal, but also empowering. I was no longer Caleb Harrington's wife but Michaela Harrington J.D., professional in my own right. The position they offered was tailor-made. Flexible hours that accommodated my family responsibilities, challenging work that utilized my legal expertise, and the opportunity to develop policies that might prevent others from experiencing what I had endured. After completing refresher certifications in corporate compliance law, I stepped back into professional life with a confidence I hadn't felt in decades. 6 months after my ruined 40th birthday, I faced Caleb for the final divorce proceeding. The man who entered the conference room barely resembled the husband I'd known. His designer clothes hung loosely on his frame, gray had appeared at his temples, and the charming confidence that once defined him had vanished. "You look well," he offered, his tone suggesting surprise. "I am well," I replied simply. As our attorneys finalized the agreement, Caleb attempted one last manipulation. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," he began, his voice lowered for privacy. "We built a life together, Michaela. 17 years. The kids need stability. Maybe we could consider counseling, a fresh start." I cut him off gently but firmly. "There's no going back, Caleb. Is this really what you want?" His voice held a dangerous edge. "To tear apart our family over one mistake?" I met his gaze directly. "This is what you created. I'm simply moving forward. Before leaving, I placed a small velvet box on the table between us. Inside was the anniversary necklace he'd given me, the twin to Vanessa's bracelet. "This doesn't belong to me," I said quietly. "It never did." I walked away without looking back, my attorney's heels clicking alongside mine as we exited the building. Outside, spring sunshine warmed my face. For the first time since my birthday, I felt something close to genuine peace. My 41st birthday arrived on a perfect April morning. No elaborate promises, no mysterious hints about mind-blowing gifts. Instead, Jake knocked on my bedroom door at a reasonable hour, proudly carrying slightly burned toast and fresh coffee. "Emma's decorating downstairs," he whispered conspiratorially. "She made me promise not to tell you." Downstairs, my daughter had transformed our dining room with handmade paper flowers and a banner she'd clearly stayed up late creating. "Mom's rebirthday," it proclaimed in glittering letters. My parents arrived bearing favorite childhood dishes. Friends came with thoughtful gifts that celebrated my rediscovered passions. Art supplies, books, hiking gear for the weekend trips I'd begun taking with a women's outdoor group. My sister brought photo albums from before I'd met Caleb, visual reminders of the vibrant, ambitious woman I'd once been and was becoming again. As Emma carried out the cake she'd baked herself, chocolate with buttercream frosting, my favorite rather than Caleb's preferred carrot cake we'd had for years, I felt tears welling. "I'd like to make a toast," I said, raising my glass. "To lessons learned the hard way. To resilience found in broken places. And to all of you who helped me remember that life's most valuable gift is authenticity." Later, as guests departed and my children cleared away plates, I stepped onto the back porch of the home that was truly mine now. The garden I'd planted in the weeks after the divorce was beginning to bloom, new growth emerging from freshly turned soil. Like me, I thought watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors. This wasn't the life I'd planned. The journey here had been painful beyond imagination. But standing in my garden, surrounded by people who valued me for exactly who I was, I realized that Caleb had accidentally kept his promise after all. My 40th birthday gift had indeed blown my mind, just not in the way anyone expected. It had shattered the comfortable illusions I'd lived within and forced me to rebuild something authentic from the ruins. And that painful gift of truth had ultimately set me free.
After listening to today's story, perhaps it has raised some new questions in your mind, or maybe it has brought back some old memories. Every day on Reddit, new experiences and moments create fresh stories, and they connect all of us. Everyone has their own unique journey in life, and we all try to understand the world in our own way. These kinds of moments remind us that we are all human, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, and always learning something new. If you enjoyed this story, feel free to share it with your friends. Your thoughts and feedback are always valuable to us, as they motivate us to create even better content. Every story has its own unique angle, and our goal is to understand everyone's perspective and make our content diverse and relatable. Stories like these help us realize that life's journey is different for everyone, and by hearing other stories, we learn something new. You can also share your own stories with us. Your experiences are valuable to us as well, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave your feedback. We aim to create content that brightens your mind and gives you new ideas every time. If you've already seen this video before, your feedback is still important. With every piece of feedback, we can improve our content and bring a new perspective to our viewers. Today, what we saw was just a small part of the many stories shared on Reddit and across the world. It's a reminder of how we all try to understand life by sharing our experiences with each other. This video was only an example of how we try to connect with others through storytelling, learning about different sides of life. We hope to continue sharing such stories that help us all learn and grow together. Thank you for your time, and don't forget to keep an eye out for more stories coming soon. If you haven't already, please like and follow for more amazing content. Your support keeps us going, and we will strive to bring you more thought-provoking and heartwarming stories. Until next time, take care and stay curious. *.